The Python Show.
Hello and welcome to the Python Show. I'm your host, Mike Driscoll, and today we have a very special guest, Mariya from, I believe her website is called, or her YouTube channel is called Python Simplified, and
That's right.
she has lots of cool content on there. Definitely check her out, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mike. Super happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Um, I usually ask all of my guests to just give us a little bit of their background story and tell us about your journey into programming. So you could do that. That'd be awesome.
Sure. So, my name is Mariya. I am a software developer from beautiful British Columbia, Canada. I have a
Hmm.
Python channel, as you mentioned, called Python Simplified, where I teach computer science concepts and artificial intelligence using Python.
Cool.
My programming journey has started many, many years ago when I was 12, when I first got my internet connection, my broadband internet connection.
Hmm.
I had and investigated the web. I've made some websites, and ever since, I'm learning new things. Right now, I'm learning a full blown degree in computer science in the University of London. I'm learning a machine learning and artificial intelligence specialization. So I'm taking
Cool.
it a bit more seriously than I did when I was 12. And yeah,
Hmm.
here we are.
That's awesome. So I've had a couple of other younger guests on my show, and I'm just curious, what are they teaching regarding computer science concepts? Are they like teaching? What languages are they teaching? Are they teaching like test-driven development?
Yeah.
Stuff about what is it? Source control, things like that.
So, not much about source control. This is something that you need to figure out on your own. But
Hmm.
when it comes to programming languages, I find that specifically my university is mostly focusing on P5.js, which is it's a JavaScript library that helps you create interactive software very fast. It's all web applications. I don't
Okay.
believe it is widely used in a workplace, but they use it a lot in our modules. They also teach a
Hmm.
little bit of Python. I don't like the way they teach them, but it's okay. I'm too picky when it comes to Python. When we are in the trade, we have
Hmm.
certain things that bug us when they do them, as well as C++. They also teach it very well, actually.
Oh,
But
good.
maybe it's because my lecturer was very well for this specific module. So it depends on who you learn from.
It does. It does. Yes. Awesome. So I'm just curious if they're not teaching Python, or at least not teaching it the way you want. Um, why did you choose to learn Python, and what are you using it for yourself?
So when I chose to learn Python, I didn't necessarily choose Python. I chose machine learning and artificial
Hmm.
intelligence. And basically, Python was the best way to implement it. So I discovered Python absolutely by chance. Before I was familiar with JavaScript, I really liked it. But then as soon as you become familiar with Python, at least in terms of the aesthetics and in terms of the simplicity of the commands, you're kind of becoming addicted, and it's very hard
Hmm.
for you to imagine a different programming languages instead.
Yeah.
And basically, my my best impression about Python at the very very beginning was the indentations, the clever way of
Hmm.
utilizing indentations to providing meaning to those indentations, which is something that we don't have in other programming languages.
Hmm.
And I got very excited about it. I like the way it's organized, and from there, it's it just continued. I continued discovering new things, and every day there's something new I find out. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I found that I really liked that it enforces indentation. There are a lot of people who don't like that, but when I was taking computer classes like C++, the teacher or the professor was like, you need to indent your code, even though it's surrounded by braces. It needs to be indented to show that it's a block of code. And then you have people complaining that Python forces you to do that. And I'm like, what's the deal? You're taught to do that in school.
Absolutely. Not only in school, just for yourself, in order
Yeah.
to have a better understanding of where you stored things, just in terms of, graphically looking at
Hmm.
at all the sophistication you have inside your code. It's much better to separate it with indentations. It doesn't matter the programming language you use. It's just far more organized and easier to detect specific details. And we do it
Yeah.
anyways. So we might as well utilize it in a clever way.
Yeah, you can spot syntactical errors better if it's indented, into blocks of code. It's a lot harder to tell, where's the beginning and ending brace or curly brace or whatever if it's all on one line, for example.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
So, you're doing data science now and machine learning. Do you feel like if I'm like just like a regular software developer and doesn't have a data science background, do you think I need to go back to school to get into data science or machine learning?
Um, I think that it becomes a more necessary skill as we go. But at
Hmm.
this point of time, I don't think that it's the right time to throw everything and run back to school to relearn a bunch of concepts. I think that there's plenty of information online. So if it's something that people find interesting, there's so many sources, including my channel, including your Twitter account, that you can actually
Hmm.
refer to in order to learn new things when it comes to data science and when it comes to machine learning. I see it as something that takes time because it doesn't matter, anything new you learn will take you time to master, and
Yes.
there is no need to rush. There's plenty of material, there's plenty of time, and as we go, we discover new things. So no rush whatsoever. But it is very important to learn data science when it comes to machine learning and artificial intelligence. These two fields are so closely connected together that
Hmm.
anyone who ever wants to pursue a career in machine learning, deep learning, it's a necessity. We basically start with analyzing the data, looking at the data, and only then we figure out sophisticated mechanisms to process this data. So it's the beginning of every artificial intelligence journey, at least in my from my point of view.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've always thought that was kind of almost a gatekeeping in a way that you have to go and get a degree in data science to actually do data science. And I'm like, I don't really agree with that, but I'm always curious to see what people who are actually doing it think too. So
Sorry, Mike, can you
anyway,
repeat it?
no, it's all good.
I apologize.
I was just saying, I feel like people who think everyone has to get a data science degree to become a data science engineer. I think there's like gatekeeping involved there because to me it feels like a software engineer should be able to do that because they're already used to working with data, to begin with. But yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
If I want to create an algorithm, then I probably have to go back to school because I don't know how to do that for machine learning. But if I don't need to create an algorithm, I'm pretty sure I can do the job. Anyway,
For sure. And with time, if you look for like other resources online and stuff, you'll be able to do it too. I have no doubts.
yeah, cool. So I'm interested. How did you decide to become a YouTuber?
I can't call it a decision. I was basically switching careers. I was a graphic designer for many,
Okay.
many years. I enjoyed it. I had lots of fun. But then I realized that I maximize myself at a certain spot, and I was looking for other ways. And then I was reading this article about Tesla's autopilot, and they mentioned that they're using machine learning technologies, as in present progressive, using now, not in the future. And this is how I discovered that. Artificial intelligence is no longer science fiction. So I thought, well, if I'm already looking for a new direction and there's something that I've always dreamed of learning and I'm capable of learning it nowadays, I have to go for it. so
That's cool.
I basically decided that from now on, I want to change careers. I want to do something else, and I wanted to find an employment that will help me get better with it as I learn it. And that's where COVID hit. So basically, when I was looking to switch careers and become a junior developer, no one was hiring junior developers, and I thought
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
maybe starting my own YouTube channel will help me stand out. And yeah, I posted a few videos. People really, really enjoyed it. I discovered that people like the way I teach. And ever since, it all became history. I didn't really think it's going to be a business at a certain point of time. I thought it's just a way
Hmm.
for me to capture attention of potential employers. And um,
Hmm.
yeah, a lot of things have happened since.
Oh, so it has worked out into a full-time job, the YouTubing part of it.
Basically, instead of looking for jobs, I ended up developing this channel to the level that right now companies are reaching out to me and asking me if I'd like to work with them, not as an employee but as a contractor. I have this
Okay.
product, I have this really really good Python extension, would you like to cover it in one of your videos? We can
Mm,
collaborate and things like that. So right now I'm not really looking for work, but maybe sometimes in the future, who knows? Maybe one day I'd like to create, a nice startup or something.
yeah,
All the options are open.
that makes sense. Awesome. So, what makes you think a YouTube channel is a good YouTube channel versus a bad YouTube channel?
Um, I don't really look at it in concepts of good or bad. I
Okay.
basically look at how genuine someone is. That's something
Hmm.
that I find very very important, because everyone wants to be like those ultra famous YouTubers that everyone sees. Everybody
Hmm.
wants to be like Joe Rogan or like Mr. Beast, and everybody's trying to adapt the way they speak to the way that the famous YouTubers speak. And this is
Okay.
where I think a lot of YouTubers lose it, because um, it's hard it's hard to compare someone who is first starting to use a camera to someone who's a professional and has been doing it for years.
Hmm.
So instead of trying to be like somebody else, I think that a lot of YouTubers need to focus on being themselves. And it sounds like an easy task, but there's a big gap between speaking to your peers and colleagues and friends and speaking to a camera. Very, very
Yes.
big gap. I kind of discovered it the hard way, but you usually get better at what you do as time goes by.
Hmm.
Another important detail is consistency. There are many YouTube channels that have a single viral video that many, many people watch, but it doesn't mean that
Hmm.
all those people will subscribe. Because if they look at other pieces of content that YouTuber does, um, it doesn't necessarily on the same level or on the same
Yeah.
topic that they may find interesting. So, for example, if somebody has a computer science channel, it is probably not wise to review the new vehicle that you just bought.
Hmm.
Even though it might be a nice video, it might go viral, but your viewers may not appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
these are the two criteria that I find the most important to me, at least.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So, what do you find are the top three data science topics that your viewers seem to like the best?
So the first topic would definitely be web scraping and automation. That's something
Okay.
that um, my channel began covering these topics. Actually, viewers asked me specifically to cover mechanical soup and beautiful soup and all kinds of web
Hmm.
scraping libraries. And ever since I discovered Selenium, and it's very hard to use anything else since. So my channel
Yep.
is very oriented around automating XML sites as well as dynamic sites, and it's something that folks really appreciate. Another topic is database management systems, which is
Hmm.
something that my viewers also really appreciate, particularly in the realm of SQLite. It is a very, very nice and friendly system that is easily achievable with Python libraries. You don't need to set up anything. You just need a
Hmm.
simple pip install command, and not always, because SQLite is installed with Anaconda already. So
Yep.
I found it very, very interesting. Um, and yeah, I wish I could tell you machine learning and deep learning and things like that. My audience doesn't find it particularly interesting. There is a fraction of the audience that is really engaged and really enjoys it, but I would say it's like 5% of people,
Okay.
which to me is sad, because this is what I'm mostly passionate about. So I wish that everyone would
Hmm.
be excited about it just as much as I am, but there's nothing you
Yeah,
can do.
that's true. That's very true. You didn't mention Playwright. You might want to check that out for web scraping. That's a kind of a newer library that's I've heard a lot of people like to use now.
I've heard
So
a lot of recommendations about it. I did not try it myself.
yeah, I know someone who I think he works for Microsoft and he goes around to different conferences and talks about it. So it looks really
Okay,
slick. So it might be worth talking about someday, especially if your viewers
cool.
like that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I did see it in the requests, but it's hard to follow all the requests. It's hard to know how many requests exactly from
Hmm.
each topic there are. But I did see it popping in the comments. I definitely look into it now that you recommended it as well.
I, s- I happened to see a talk on it at PyCon this year, and it did look pretty good.
Hmm.
All right, so we're getting close to my last. We're getting actually we're at the last question now. Wow. So, do you have any advice? Do you have any advice for anyone who'd like to become a teacher on YouTube?
Sure. So, first of all, don't rush to invest in a lot of fancy equipment. Start with what you have. The only
Hmm.
thing you realistically need is a working computer as well as a microphone that is semi good. It doesn't have
Yep.
to be the fanciest microphone in the world. It doesn't have to have RGB on it. This is something you can buy
Hmm.
along the way. Start slowly. Don't use the fanciest software and don't invest in too much equipment. Make sure that people enjoy what you are doing, the way you are teaching,
Hmm.
and make sure that you understand what audience, your audience basically, because this is you're basically targeting them. You're not filming what you want to film. You're filming
Hmm.
what will bring value to their life. So that should be your main goal. Another advice I have is don't just rely on some algorithms and on strangers on the internet to consume and promote your content. The first entities you
Hmm.
should rely on is your family, is your friends, is your colleagues. So as soon as you have your very first video, as soon as you post it, the first thing you should do is you should reach out to all your contacts, all your loved ones, and tell them, hey,
Hmm.
i have a new I have a new YouTube channel. Would you like to view this video? Would you like to tell me how you feel about it? Give me some feedback. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and maybe you can help me in whichever way you'd like. Maybe you can leave
Hmm.
me a like, maybe you can leave me a comment, maybe you can share it with someone. And this would be your initial audience. This is how I basically started. Once you
Hmm.
have at least the basic feedback, and once you are comfortable with the editing, the filming, writing content, and just viewing the
Yeah.
camera, even if you don't have a camera, just speaking to the microphone, explaining things, then you can move on with advertising your videos elsewhere. So for example, a good source would be Facebook groups. Now, I'm not on Facebook anymore. I used to be back in the day, and I joined a very big group of called Python,
Hmm. Yep.
which is like 100% matched to what I do. Now they have, I believe, almost half a million members or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, but back in the day, they were a bit smaller. So this is where you can start sharing your content with others. And when you do so, don't just share your video. Explain people why this video is good, why this might help them, and make a nice discussion about it. And then use the comment section to collect feedback from strangers, because feedback from family and friends is not always objective. My mom
Yeah.
thinks I'm the smartest person in the world, but it doesn't mean anything. I'm just
Yeah.
her daughter, so she has to feel that way, right?
Hmm.
Um, and slowly progress towards the type of channels that you are used to see, because you don't have to start from the top of the line. You usually start slow, and your viewers
Hmm.
will appreciate your progress as you go. And yeah,
Yeah, that's great advice.
thank you. I
Yeah.
hope it helps.
Yeah, I hope to see a bunch of great new YouTube stars, commenting on this podcast and telling us new channels. That'd be awesome. All right. Well, we made it through all of my questions. So I just want to thank you so much for putting up with me and my bad internet connection
It's
and
all good. It's
joining
all
me
good,
for
Mike. I understood you without hearing half of it.
awesome. That's great. Well, thank you so much for the show. Hopefully, the next time, if I have you on again, I'll have a better connection for that. But
Absolutely. I'd love to come over again.
great. Anyway, y'all, all you listeners, go and check out Maria's awesome channel and check her out and support her because she deserves it. All right,
Thank
I'm going to
you.
sign off now. Yeah, thanks.
The Python Show.